So this is what is it? Tuesday, March 17th, 2020. Um, it's been really interesting the last few days. I haven't done a few updates. I've been really busy. I think the biggest changes since my last video are that Canada borders are eventually shut down. Are now shut down. Full EU flight ban. So there's no flights going back and forth between the United States and Europe right now. Uh, Full San Francisco Bay Area lockdown. People aren't allowed to leave their buildings. There's going to be one in New York in 2 days. It's really interesting. Um, I'm still tracking the CDC's official numbers in my spreadsheet, and we're growing at 13% per day. But I think I feel pretty confident in the steps that have been taken so far. Um, for a full shutdown. I think we can snuff this thing out like a fire, but we got to stop it from replicating. Um, and it's going to be interesting because we haven't flattened out yet. But I think that the proper steps that we've taken are really only are going to start taking effect sort of now. And even if they were implement even if they were implemented now, we would still see a 30-day fade because the symptoms can take up to 30 days to kick in. So that's going to be an interesting development to see how that goes. But the CDC is still publishing the numbers, and I should see it in their metrics. So if this is accurate, then there will be a full reboot will be completed in 30 days from now, meaning that the median will be in 15. So we should start seeing some really good progress in 15 days. Okay, that's interesting. And so it's been really fast. Just this whole thing has been really fascinating to watch. This has happened so quickly as well. I mean, one of the things I really wanted to take this journal is that this is we're just living our lives, and this is a complete out of left field. This has never happened before in history. So, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the next few days. I think Manhattan's going to shut down, and we're going to have to see about how the other areas. Apparently, a lot of the GOP areas, they all think it's a hoax and they don't have to do anything, and they're going to get burned hard. It's going to be really painful for them. You can't say they don't deserve it if they're not taking this seriously. The problem is that they end up infecting other people. When you get this thing, on average, you infect 3 other people. So that viral coefficient is just really high. It's really scary. So don't get it. The other thing that was really interesting was that there's now an mRNA vaccine. I'm blanking on the name of the company, but this thing is fascinating. I'm reading about how it works, and essentially the Chinese sequence the DNA of the coronavirus, and they posted it online. Good for them. Hell yeah, right? That's the way to do that. And then there's another company, it's like Malordia or something along those lines. They built this RNA vaccine, and apparently Zika virus was an mRNA vaccine. And apparently the way it works is they create an RNA chunk, and then you get injected with RNA, and then the RNA gets sequenced, and it creates the protein for part of the virus. And that's fascinating. So if that protein can then act as an antigen and generate an antibody, then your body will produce the correct antibodies, and you're good to go. So the only problem is it's still going to be a year because of safety and efficacy tests. But it's going to be interesting because you're going to be tempted to start pushing that towards people like doctors that are very vulnerable, especially older doctors. Because even if it does cause cancer or something like that, they're older anyway, and the risks might outweigh the rewards might outweigh the risks. So if we might start seeing some additional additional help here, because if we can get the virus taken out, then some of the doctors don't have to wear maybe as many, or they can work more harder because they're not worried about getting the coronavirus and making other people sick. So I think that's what has happened so far. And my math is showing 6 times as many infections by April 1st than right now in 15 days. Hopefully that's wrong. That should start cooling off. But I think the other thing that's interesting is all the discussions of universal basic income, giving all Americans $1,000, giving them money. I think that's interesting. Anyway, I'm going to sign off. We'll see how this happens. We'll see how this evolves. Good night.